Hello, yes, it's time again for another interview. I'm Matt and I'm a superhero finder scouring the cosmos looking for people to tell some inspirational stories, give some hints and tips, and to really delve into what they've been through, what their backstory is, what the mission was, where they are, and how they have absolutely smashed it with the aim of spreading some positivity. So without further ado, Danny is waiting. What a good story this is. See you on the other side. Hello and welcome to another one of my IDIFM. I'm doing it for me, Ask the Expert interviews. Today I'm joined by Danny, a good friend of mine. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Danny, let's crack on, mate, because I know we could talk for hours on this stuff, and we have done already. But just for the purpose of this video, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So basically, I started training maybe, well, it'd be coming up to 2 years-ish.
Yeah.
2 years this year, if I remember rightly. It wasn't really something that I were ever into. I mean, prior to actually training properly, you could probably count times I've been to a gym on one hand. But it has become a big part now.
Yeah.
Kind of the main reason for that really was when, well, a couple of years back, my grandma was basically taken into hospital, as you know.
Yeah.
Basically taken in there to a deathbed, as bluntly as it is. And I never kind of really noticed at the time. And kind of last thing that we kind of really talk about was the fact that I was losing weight and getting skinny and this, that, the other.
Yeah.
But again, it was never really something that I noticed until obviously my grandma mentioned it, and then a couple of other family members mentioned it, and it was weird because with her being in that situation, something just kind of went, and that were it.
Yeah.
It was full focus on weight gain. And
can you remember what it was she said to you?
She not exactly, but it was just along the lines of, promise me you'll put some weight on or start eating properly or something like that, because with those few months that she were in there, I were hardly eating, I wasn't doing no, I was constantly smoking bud, still working at the same time, so I were having stresses inside and outside at home and stuff like that. So it was just, the weight must have just been absolutely stripping off. And then obviously when she mentioned it, and it's got to mean something if it's coming from somebody who at that point as well weren't really corpus mentis. That's what you mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So it, like I said, it kind of just went, right, need to do something.
Just kind of flicked a switch in you then?
Yeah, basically. And then pretty much from that moment, I signed up to the gym at Top of Hill. I would go in until it was locked down, pretty much every day, 7 days a week for first year, again until it all got locked down. Within that first year, I managed to put on 2 stone.
Wow.
I felt a million times better in myself generally. You know, don't get me wrong, still having odd bad days and things like that, but it's just become such a massive part of like what I do on a day-to-day basis. It's to go back 2 years, you wouldn't have thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just like I've gone on a totally different direction.
So do you find yourself doing so your daily routine's different now to what it was before, perhaps?
Yeah. So, you know, before I started training, when we were working in office, I'd get up, get ready for work, go up to office, do my shift, come home, kick back, and that'd be day in, day out.
Yeah.
Whereas now, well, when gyms were open, I'd be in gym 6 o'clock, smack bang on dot, Monday to Friday, and then smack bang 8 o'clock on a Saturday, same again Sunday. I'd be there before work, finish my session, go up to work, come back home, kick back, eat. And even though it still got into a routine, it was a routine that I enjoyed. Like, I enjoyed going to bed early, going to bed at 8, half 8 on the morning, setting my alarm for 4, 5 o'clock, getting up to the gym for 6, getting back home for, say, 8, half 8, and then getting to work for 10. Absolutely perfect, and getting everything kind of done in between that I needed to do. It was just, it's hard to get out of that routine, but I couldn't see me come out of that routine now.
Yeah, so the routine that you're in, and obviously now at the moment we're in lockdown, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I see you've still been training, because you keep it up to date on your Instagram and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, well, the way I see it is, I mean, first lockdown was a bit difficult. Obviously, using minimal equipment, you know, having to use bloody bricks to curl with and press and all that kind of nonsense. And it was hard, proper hard. But then gradually started getting bits in here and there, made it a little bit easier. Obviously, gym's open again, so started back at gym, then it closed down again. And it just got to a point where I was like, well, it's all right stressing about not having a gym to go to, but there's things that I can do here. And the way I see it is, if there's something that I need to do, it's kind of up to me to do it.
Yeah.
I've got the equipment. There's absolutely nothing stopping me from doing that. So the way I see it is, regardless of whether there's a gym open or not, that routine shouldn't change. So I'm still going to bed early, 8, half 8, getting up 4, 5 o'clock, training for a couple of hours, finishing that, having breakfast, getting showered, getting ready for work, that kind of thing. So the routine's still the same. It's just training in a different place.
Yeah. And do you know what, that's so powerful, because we know from research that the body, and from experience, that the body loves consistency.
Yeah.
And actually, I would say the mind also likes consistency. It sometimes wants to trick you into, oh, let's change things, that's boring, or I don't like that, I'm not sure about that. But once you get into that routine, it's almost comforting. I find it's comforting knowing that you've got that routine. It's almost a bit of a foundation to your day.
Yeah, exactly. At least it's because you've got that in place, you then know what's set out, instead of, I'll just get up and see what happens. Can't do it. If I'm up, I'll get ready, do what I need to do, start training, crack on with work, and then when I finish work, rest of the day's mine. Then I don't have to worry about training or getting hyped up and this, that, the other. I can just turn my laptop off, kick back, day done.
Day done, and you've put the work in, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's you completed your plan. And you know, we like being able to tick things off, like to-do lists, or feel like we're being productive as well. And I think that's a really great way of doing that. Just going back to what your grandma had said then, so at that point when she was not very well, you were getting quite skinny, and it was noticeably so, and it was to a point where it was not normal for you. So
yeah,
you've always been quite lean, if I'm right, haven't you?
Yeah.
So for your family to have said something, and especially your grandma to have said something at a time where she was going through a lot of challenges herself, it must have been something that was completely different for them, and that was worrying a little bit. So what is it, do you think? Because one way to put on weight would just be to eat anything and everything.
Yeah.
So what is it you think that you get from exercise that led you that way, as well as looking at nutrition as well? What is it you enjoy about the exercise?
It was just generally learning it as I went on. Like when I first started, obviously I jumped straight in with weight gainers and using it for meals and things like that, and just eating willy-nilly, not really. I mean, it must have worked because I put the weight on, do you know what I mean? But as it's kind of gotten on, I've been not necessarily more careful with what I eat, but I'm picking up on things that I'm eating more of. So I'm eating more foods that are higher protein, eating more carbs, not as many fats, that kind of thing, snacking during day, protein shakes, all that kind of stuff, and just generally trying to put in more food. Because at the end of the day, it's fuel needed to train properly, and if it's not fueled up, you can't train properly.
Well, I would completely agree with that, because you're essentially fueling an engine. So what is it? So when you have an excellent or a really good training session, then what is it you feel? What makes it a good training session? I'm interested just to get into your mind a little bit.
Depends really. It kind of depends what I'm going in to do, so to speak. Like if I'm going into a gym, for me, a good session would either be an absolutely ridiculous pump, or smashing PBs.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not going to be doing that every day, so a lot of the time it's just getting that pump, making yourself feel better, and then the days that you do get the PBs, it's even better. It's like when I first started deadlifting, when I struggled to pick up 50-60 off the floor.
Yeah.
Whereas before the gym shut, safely I can pull 130, 140 at a push.
Yeah.
So it's just everything shoots right up. But you've got to obviously, like yourself, put the work in to do it. It's not just gonna happen like that, is it?
Yeah. So clearly, really, it's been that improvement of your ability over time, that constant feeling of being able to beat what you did yesterday or the week before or the last time you trained that thing.
Yeah.
And also what you said about learning about what you're eating as well, because as humans, we get into routines and things become subconscious. So you start eating things that you don't even realize. So once you become conscious of that, you found that really, really important in understanding why you're putting on the weight, but not actually putting on a load of body fat. From looking at the pictures, you've still stayed quite lean, but there's been a visible change in muscle mass. Yeah,
definitely.
And I would say posture as well, and confidence.
Yeah, 100% for confidence. That's just, don't get me wrong, like I said earlier, you still have your bad days and this, that, the other, but they're a lot more few and far between than what they used to be.
Yeah. What impact would you say? So that's a very practical kind of indication of where you are in terms of mental health, because I know that's also, you've alluded to it being part and parcel of it. How would you say that has changed since you started really focusing on exercise and these new routines?
It has got better, to be fair. Like a lot of the times I am a lot less anxious. My moods aren't as low as what they used to be. And again, I think a lot of it is it's just knowing kind of where I've come from, if that makes sense. Like looking like a noodle 2 years ago to looking like a bloody knick-knack. Do you know what I mean? It's
I love that. A noodle to a knick-knack.
Do you know what I mean? You see changes like that and you think, well, actually, it is working, and it's kind of something to be proud of, which, like yourself, it took me a while to actually get to that point of being proud of what I'm looking like, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that determination as well, because as you said, you were at a position where the gyms had closed and you didn't really have a lot of equipment. I think a lot of people resonate with that, because we didn't expect to not be able to access all these things. And I know exercise in the gym, especially for me, for you, is really important to have that on a daily basis. Because I remember did you not have tubs full of sand or full of water or something to make different weights for a start?
Protein tubs full of sand. Empty bottles full of sand. Basically, any kind of vessel that you could put sand in. There was probably sand in it at one point.
Yeah.
Are we using bloody wheelie bins for benching? What else? Chairs, press ups. You name it, I could have done something with it, so to speak. But you know, it's one of those. It's like I said before, and you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you? If there's things there, you can do stuff with it. It's just about wanting to do it.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything you would do differently had you been in the same position again? Or is there anything you do more of, or just on reflection?
Not real, not that I can think of, to be fair. I think for me, mainly, it's just about keeping myself at that level, like where I'm gradually putting the weight on, not obviously in massive amounts in short amounts of time, but whenever I'm gradually putting that weight on, I'm kind of happy with what I am doing at the moment, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think with anything like that, you know, touch wood, it don't happen, but if I end up catching something and then end up stripping all the weight off again, that'll be a little bit different. And then I'd kind of have a better idea as to what I can do to put that all back on again. But obviously, touch wood, I'm not going to be in that position.
Yeah. But like you said, it feels a little bit different because now you know what steps you would need to take to be able to get back, and you know there's a process for that, and it does take some time. But there's absolutely, you know, best practices you can have. If there was, I suppose what would be really good is from this experience, which, you know, has been massive for you. And if people wanted to check out, you know, if people wanted to check out a little bit more into you, what's your Instagram name?
Dan_BB Coils.
There we go. So if anyone wants to check that out, that's Dan's Instagram. Because I think visually, when I follow your story, and I've followed it since, because we've known each other a couple of years now properly, and we've trained together and whatnot. And I think that even the visual part of the story tells a lot, because your commentary is always very honest, and it is, you know, I think that's why every time I see something that you've posted, I want to read it, because I know it's honest. Because sometimes we get to a point on social media where everything's a bit fake.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, well, look at this condition I'm in. You know, we get all this all year round. I look great, and it can sometimes lead you into a place of, well, am I going to be good to go?
Well, it's like a lot of these influencers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They do exactly the same thing, don't they? It puts a lot of wrong ideas into people's heads, thinking everything's going to be all hunky-dory and that, and it might not be. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we've got to look at.
Yeah, and sometimes for me, I don't know whether you agree, but seeing somebody that has struggles, that has triumphs, it's almost you want to know there's other people out there going through the same. You know, going through the same. It almost
100%. 100%.
Is there anyone that you look up to then, in terms of inspiration for your journey or what you've done?
Well, when I first started training, because I would say a good 80% of my spare time, if I wasn't working or training, I'd be watching YouTube videos.
Okay.
Different people training different things. There were a lot of strongmen, a lot of power lifters.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, obviously, as I've gone on with that, you start to learn about different people. And I think the main ones for me really at the moment, say Larry Wheels, Eddie Hall.
Larry Wheels is insane. I love Eddie Hall.
Yeah, it's insane. What I can watch their videos all day. It's crazy. And recently there's been another guy on Instagram that I've followed, and I think it might be Papa Bear Rogers. I could be wrong, but he's just absolute animal, and he just seems to deadlift all the time, and he's just, yeah, absolute beast.
What is it about them that kind of inspires you then? I mean, obviously they're lifting big weights, if anyone knows of any of them, but
do you know what? That's exactly it.
okay.
It's just the big numbers.
Yeah.
Like, the bigger the number, the more impressive. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a bit different when you've got these powerlifters and they're bending the backs like a contortionist to do a bench press, but you know, like Eddie Hall, someone who's pulled 500 kilo,
yeah,
or Larry, who can probably rep 350, 400 kilo for fun of it, and it's just like, yeah, I could do that.
So actually, the feat of doing that, so just keeping progressing to a point where actually, you know, you feel like you were in their shoes, almost. Because I remember a video of Larry Wills, because I think he's a teacher actually, or he was a teacher, and I believe he's going to compete. He's going to try and compete in World's Strongest Man as well. Interestingly,
yeah.
But I remember seeing
he's been doing a lot of work with Thor.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting as well. Their boxing fight, Thor and Eddie this year. I remember bench press 2 barbells with weight on, so there must have been 120, 130 each or something, and it was bench pressing them, and I was like, that is insane, like what the human body is capable of.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's just what you can push yourself to do and what you can physically do, mentally do. It's insane, absolutely insane.
And it, you know, if as we've learned, if we see it in the right way, then it can just keep fueling that fire to want to keep progressing, can't it? Because you know the body's got it in it. One thing I would be interested to know is so you've hit a couple of stone, you're at the place you are now. I know you put a post up today saying you wanted to get your arms bigger. So have you got, what are your goals now for the next kind of year, 2 years? Where do you see yourself?
Well, my ideal weight to get up to, I think I set myself a target of about 12 and a half, 13 stone. So I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush at all to get there. It takes time. Do you know what I mean? When I get to that point, then depending on where I am, will kind of determine where I go from there, so to speak. I did have targets for gym and stuff like that, but while gym's shut, there's no point in looking at those. Do you know what I mean? But it'll be open again someday, I hope. But in the meantime,
it will.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but in the meantime, it's just training at home, and it's plenty of reps, plenty of volume,
and getting that feeling that you've had a good session as well.
Yeah.
Especially to set up your day as well, because you're you're more of a morning person than a night person at the moment, aren't you? From the sounds of it.
Yeah, God, yeah. Yeah, you'll find me out in the garden at 6, half 6 in the morning training.
Yeah,
pretty much every day.
And like you said before, compared to the way that your lifestyle used to be,
yeah,
and to see that's changed. What I would be interested to know, so I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if there was 1 or 2 things, pieces of advice. So we've got someone, okay, so whether it's someone in a point of crisis, or whether it's someone that's at the end of the tether, or they're feeling low, or whatever it is, but they know there needs to be a change. What is it taken from your experience? I think it'd be really good to know if there was 1 or 2 things that you would advise that person to do, or tips or anything.
So you need to find obviously the main thing that's going to motivate you to do it, because you don't just want to go in and say, yeah, I'll do it. It's not going to work, and it won't last. It's like quitting smoking. If you just say it yourself, yeah, I'm going to quit, guaranteed you'll quit for a week and then you'll be back onto it.
Yeah,
you need something that's going to motivate you to want to do it. It's not about having to do it, and it's about wanting to do it and continuously wanting to do it.
Love that.
And that's probably kind of picks up the second point as well, is just when you get into it, it's just keep at it.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a change overnight. you're not going to see a change in the first week. You might see a change in third, fourth week, but you'll see those changes.
Man, do you know what? That is so powerful. It's the 2 steps. It's to find the thing that makes you want it so bad, whatever that thing that motivates you is, because everybody is different. And then create that consistency. So create it so that it's almost automatic, that you just do it without thinking. Wow, that's incredible. Whoa, right, Danny, thank you so much for your time today, man.
No problem.
Really, really good just to hear some more. Obviously, I've known some of this story, but some of that was newsflash to me as well. But I'm sure if there's anyone that wants to get in touch with Danny or get in touch with me, and I can link you up, whatever, I'll put some details below in the video / podcast area, because it will be going out as both, as they all do. And alternatively, if anyone else wants to get in touch, the website is, I'm going to have to get used to where this is. It's down there somewhere. It's down there. Okay, that's the duration of the video. It's always weird when you mirror things on technology, but it is great. It does allow us to do some great things like this. So, but yeah, get in touch with me or Danny. I'm sure we'd both happily speak to you about anything. But thank you for your time, man. That's a really powerful story, and
no problem.
Get to sit and listen to you and get out there.
Yeah, man, it's been good. It's been a pleasure.
See you later on, dude.
See you soon.
Well, crikey, what a story that was, guys. I mean, I've known Danny for a couple of years now, so I've seen him go through this transformation. It is amazing. It's incredible. Please check him out on Instagram. Add him, follow him, send him any messages. Lovely guy. Will happily answer any questions you've got, or even just share some tips with you. He started off with bottles full of sand for working out. That never stopped him. It's had good days, bad days, but that for me is total commitment. And wow, he's made some massive changes. You'll see on his Instagram, you'll see all the transformation pictures and stuff. Absolutely incredible. I am privileged to be in a position to be able to put these people's stories out, have a great chat, and imagine this being my career. I am so thankful for that. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel so that I can keep doing what I'm doing. And please make sure you check out the website, which is there. I've added some new apparel, some hoodies, t-shirts, cap. I've even got a beanie hat on there. And there's all links to the YouTube and the podcast. If you're out walking, it's all on there for you to see, as well as some reviews, testimonials, and a little bit more about some of the other things I do. So I'm going to leave it there. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and stay super.